Hey, what's up, guys? This is Pastor Quinn. Welcome to Group Training Part 5. Man, today I want to talk about the wins of groups. So the first win when it comes to doing group time with your students is that you want to inspire your students to engage in deep discussion. The way to inspire means you got to be open and vulnerable about your own stories, about your own flaws, about your own struggles to these kids, because they're only going to be as deep as you are, right? So the goal when it comes to curriculum, when it comes to small groups, is not to inform them, but to inspire them. Number two is the second one that you got to know about is when you are helping your students build relationships with one another, right? You got to know that faith was never meant to be private, but we're called to make our faith public. So as a Connect group leader, you want to make sure that you're facilitating students to engage with one another at the table, not just everybody talking to you, right? So you want to get a circle of community, a circle of communication going around the table. The third win is when you, as a leader, point your students to Jesus, right? And every curriculum and every sermon that we preach is always centered around the gospel, right? So you want to make sure that you are challenging them in their faith. There may be some students at your table who have not given their life to the Lord. So you want to make sure you're pointing them to Jesus, that you're helping them to make that decision. And then you may have students who already know the Lord. So you want to make sure you're challenging them to grow deeper in the relationship with the Lord, right? And so you are pointing them to Jesus, not just by what you say, but also how you live, right? Because your actions speak louder than words. Number 4 is we know that you are winning when you are connecting students to Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights. I said this in one of our last videos, but we have a lot of students that show up on Wednesday nights but don't necessarily come to Sunday mornings, and then we have students who come to Sunday mornings but they don't necessarily come to Wednesday nights. So we want to make sure as leaders that we are bridging the gap, right? So always inviting Wednesday students to Sunday mornings, always inviting Sunday mornings students to Wednesday nights, right? Also encouraging them to the next step, right? Whether that's baptism, whether that's joining Team 412 or starting a group off campus. Man, you are these students' greatest encourager. So you want to always make sure you're encouraging them to the next step or the next day that they need to be a part of. And then number 5 is we want to make sure that you are encouraging your students to invite their friends to be a part of what God's doing. Now, a lot of people, we say, man, let's invite your friends for a big event like Dodgeball or Color War, which is great things, but we say, man, there are 3 core reasons of why we want every student to invite their friends. The first reason is Jesus, right? We want their friends to experience Jesus just like them. We want their friends to go from death to life just like them. And so we say, hey, invite your friends to experience Jesus. Number 2 is we want every person to invite their friends so that they can experience community. We're not called to do life alone. We're not called to do life in isolation. We were called to do life with one another. So we want them to invite their friends to be a part of a community of believers that encourages them and pushes them towards a deeper relationship with Christ. And then lastly is we just want students to invite their friends to be a part of life, because it's not just church, it's life, right? We want to do life with kids. We want to have fun with kids, and this is what church is all about, right? And so we say, man, we're not inviting kids for an event or a big show, but we say, man, we want you to invite your friends for Jesus, community, and life, because those 3 things will always be consistent no matter what we're doing. And then lastly is make sure you're always following up with students and parents when you have a student who has gone missing for a week or 2. Because when you don't follow up with that kid and say, hey, just want to call and see how you're doing. We haven't seen you this past week and wanted to invite you back out to next week. And you never know, that simple phone call could be a ministry opportunity. You could pray for a parent, you could pray for a student, and never know how one word of encouragement could change their day, right? And so always make sure you're following up with your kids, because when you don't follow up with your kids when they miss a day, that communicates to them that you don't care. When you do communicate and follow up with them, it shows that they are truly valued. So follow up, follow up, follow up. That concludes my last training video, Training 5. You guys have a blessed day.